welcome back to First Impressions. This is a show where my co-host Dash Hooper and I evaluate a new album each week with a few simple ground rules. First, it must be an album we've never heard before. Second, we're only allowed to play it once. After that, we rate it in a variety of categories. The album we're going to be looking at tonight is the soundtrack of the 2024 movie Wicked. And as you can see, we have a full house tonight. So, if you were watching Monday, we had our guests from Critical Affection, and we were guests on their show. So now they're coming here today to talk about the music. So Sarah, Brian, welcome. And how are you doing tonight?
Thanks for having us. I'm cool. I'm chilly out tonight. Like, it was like 50 degrees yesterday, and now it's dropped like 30 degrees. So it's a little chilly.
Yeah.
I live in California, so the weather's beautiful. Sorry, Sarah.
Oh my God, shut up already, Brian. Jesus.
That in.
Well, see, I'm in California, and we're getting poured on right now with rain. So we don't. You must be in a different part of California. So even though, like, her 50, that's when people are like, "Oh my gosh, bring out the friggin' parkas," because California doesn't know cold. And Dash, you know cold. Are you snowed in, or is it not too bad?
No, we're fine today. We're sitting about 60 something in Oklahoma. So
okay, so that's not bad. Yeah, you're actually warmer than we were today. We were down, I think, like high 50s, but raining and probably snowing in the mountains. If I can predict that, I don't know. I'll see tomorrow, because it's supposed to rain for like 3 days, which, Californians are going to start building arcs when it starts raining for 3 days.
Yeah.
Wasn't like the entire state on fire a few weeks ago, though? Too much rain at once, I'm sure, is a bad thing, but like, rain is good.
Up our minds.
Yeah, the fire, it'll put the fires out. That part of it's good. But as far as anything else goes, yeah, it's going to lead to mudslides, which become slightly worse. We've had those, like the first year I moved into the house we're in right now, we had this probably like 7 or 8 straight days of rain, and then the whole hill behind us just poured into our yard. We watched our trash cans fly down the street in this little mud river. So like, oh, welcome to the neighborhood. It's gonna be in.
Hey, that's free real estate.
After we got off Monday's show, we just had tornadoes. Nothing big, just
just tornado.
Just normal for Oklahoma at this time of year.
Right. We don't get tornadoes up here that much anymore, but derecho every other year. What the hell's that about? It's basically a tornado, except it goes in a straight line. Why? Yeah. Why? We never got. The entire time I've lived here, never happened. And then 2020, we started getting them like every other year. Sometimes they're like, I want to say last year there was 2 of them in a year. Weird.
Wow. Yeah, I guess Brian and I, we have the California thing, so I guess we have to worry about earthquakes. Right. Always worry about wildfires because it depends on where you are. We've been evacuated twice in our house from wildfires. And when the wildfires come, they burn everything, and then you get the mudslides when you get the rain. So that's about it. But tornadoes, not worry about that. Earthquakes, you don't really, they just kind of come when they feel like it. So you can't really feel fear, because they're just, one day you're sitting there and next thing you know, earthquake, the living room's rumbling. So yeah, you get used to it. Not my wife, she still hates them. Like she's petrified of of earthquakes. Tornadoes, I'm sure all of us would run and hide from in California. We wouldn't know what to do. Like, I'm gonna die. That'd become the feeling. But
lowest room in your house, something with no windows. That's what you want to do.
Okay, there you go.
I grew up in Minnesota, so when you were talking about like, oh, it's 50 degrees, they panic. I'm like, yes, I am in shorts while I see other people in parkas.
Yeah,
so
that's
this
pretty
isn't
much it.
Cold.
Yeah, because we bounced back quickly between shorts weather and I might need to throw my hoodie on today, but that's about as cold as we get out here. It's like, all right, it's hoodie weather. That's the California cold.
That's fair.
All right, so you guys are new to the show, but we always start it with a little bit of history of the artist. Now, normally it's history of the artist, but in this case, we're going to do a history of the movie. So that means I got to go. I did a research, like, I'm going to say very shallow research of kind of everything that went into Wicked, the movie, which is what we're talking about today. So we're starting with, of course, the book. it all starts in 1900. May 17th was the release date. The book, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum. So this book kind of started everything. It was released. It was an instant success. And there were a few film adaptations before the one that we really know, and that's the 1939 movie that came out. So the original one, I think it was a 2 silent film, but the book came out in 1900. Huge seller. I think there have been 13 sequels to the book. I have not read the 13 sequels. I read The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. I read that back in elementary school, but that led to the movie, which of course that was my first exposure to Oz, was the 1939 movie. That's kind of from one of our different categories. And from there, the 1939 movie came out at MGM, starred Julie Garland as Dorothy, and it made the Wicked Witch of the West, who is now kind of the redeemed hero in the Wicked movie. It made her just one of the most infamous villains in pop culture. So you think of the Wicked Witch before Wicked, and she was just evil. She's trying to kill Dorothy. She wants to throw a fireball at, the Scarecrow, which if you know part 2 of Wicked, it's weird that she would throw a fireball at him. Some of the things don't track when you look at the movie and Wicked. It's like, wait, why would that happen, knowing what, who the Scarecrow actually is? But if you don't know the second half, I'm not going to spoil it for you because I don't need to get yelled at again. I'm being nice this week. I'm not going to have anyone destroy me. But if you do, again, as always, if I'm wrong,
I could be bad guy.
Always agree. That's all right. Dash, it's your turn. I already got.
I'll be bad guy this
week. No one came to the defense of 38 Special, but they could have, because I was less than nice. But that's okay. I will always state my opinion and never apologize for it unless I mess up. If I mess up a fact, then yeah, definitely call me out, because I try to get my facts right. But as I said, it's kind of shallow research because this has so many moving parts. What led to the Wicked movie? So the movie came out in 1939. It was huge. It was a huge part of my childhood, even though it was way after it. But we'll get to that later when we kind of talk about our history. And it was 1995 when the book that this play is based on came out, and that was The Wicked Book, and that was by Gregory Maguire. And I think of it as, it's kind of, now The Wizard of Oz is in the public domain, so we're getting a lot of, it's essentially fan fiction, but it's fan fiction that is now legal to publish. So, I mean, if you go in and you research The Wizard of Oz, you can find so many more recent books. I know there's one, Dorothy Must Die, and things like that. There's been so many different things that have come out now that it is part of the public domain. I mean, Cthulhu Invades Oz. That was something that Travis did, and that,
Lifeline Comics, Cat and Phil did Wizard of Oz crossover thing. Yeah.
So yeah, it's now that it's public domain and anyone can do it, you can get a lot of stuff, some good, some not so good, but it's never going to stop. It's public domain, so people will be telling these stories and telling their own spin on them, and that's what Gregory Maguire did. He told his own spin on the story, called Wicked: The Life and Times of the Wicked Witch of the West, and it reimagined the story from the perspective of the Wicked Witch, who now is Elphaba. I don't think she was ever called Elphaba in the original book. It's been so many years since I read it. I might be wrong. So
I don't think she did have a name if she was just the Wicked Witch of the West.
Yeah, as far as I know. And like I said, go ahead.
Elphaba came from L. Frank Baum, and that's what.
Okay.
Yes.
Maguire used that to name her.
Facts. So
it was very clever, I thought.
Yeah, I love my musicals, so.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And see, I didn't know that. I just didn't remember, because the last time I read this book, I think I was in 5th grade. So it's been so many years. They could have called her Elphaba, but I think it was always just the Good Witch, the Wicked Witch of the East, the Wicked Witch of the West. And
Glinda was the only one who had a name, right? It was just Glinda the Good Witch.
Yeah, so she had a proper name, and they, of course, changed that up to Galinda, then Glinda when she was trying to, it depends. We lost. We had someone who would have been ready here to bash, but she's not here tonight. They're planning for a wedding, so we must forgive that. But yeah, it explored the early life, and it's very political, very dark from what I've heard. I've never read the Wicked book, so have any of you read it?
Way through it, and yeah, it's definitely not for kids. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, the first go around with Wicked did not sell very many books. It wasn't until and because of some of the writing, they didn't care.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the critics didn't like the writing of it at first. It wasn't until they did the Broadway play that the second go round of Wicked, the books shot up in sales because of that. And it's still like we talked about on the show Monday night. There's still a lot of difference between the book and what's in the movies and the plays. So
yeah,
a lot of difference. That's why they
keep talking about a streaming series, because they want to adapt it properly. But like you said, there was no huge love for the book. That play, I mean, it probably made him a lot of money selling the rights in the first place, but it also then made him way more money because everyone who saw the play wanted to buy that book because they loved it, and then they might be, pleasantly or unpleasantly surprised that it's a whole different animal, and it's darker, and it's a lot more twisted. I haven't read it, but this is just based on the reviews that I have read of the book. So after the book, 2003, we get the play Wicked, the Broadway musical, and it was composed by Stephen Schwartz and written by Winnie Holzman. And I do love that they got put into the movie. Both of them got little cameos in the movie. Stephen Schwartz was the guard who said, let them in when they were going in the gates of Oz. And Winnie Holzman was just kind of in the crowd in that Oz scene. So I do love that they gave them their little nod in the movie, because they continue to work. They did adapt it for the movie. So Stephen Schwartz, all the music he readapted for it. I mean, it stays pretty close musically. Some songs get a little extended, but yeah, writing the screenplay, Winnie Holzman still helps. So it debuted August 30th, 2003, and the original version that people fell in love with because of that original cast soundtrack, that was the one with Idina Menzel as Elphaba and Kristen Chenoweth as Glinda. And that's the one that, I heard that soundtrack before I even saw the production, because one of my friends at work was like, oh, you're going to see Wicked, because we went and saw it in New York. And she was saying, yeah, you have to listen to this. So I kind of knew the songs. They're the originals, and I love that they got to be in the movie as well. They definitely gave the people from the original their moments in that. So that leads, kind of like digging through, like I said, my very shallow research, that led to it being a huge hit. People, the soundtrack sold huge numbers. The book then sold huge numbers, and it continues to play on Broadway, off Broadway. It's toured the U.S. now. You can see it pretty much in a town near you at least once a year, it feels like. So I know L.A. just finished up a run where they had it, and now it's been replaced. But there was always talks of making a movie, and it was 2024, last year, when we finally got the film adaptation. And we talked all about the movie itself on Monday. So definitely head over to Sarah's, and if you want to put the link in there, I can put it in the chat later. Head over to Sarah's YouTube channel so that you can listen to what we had to say about the movie. Because on Monday, we talked only about plot and the cinematography and what we enjoyed, and we kind of left out any discussion of the music because we wanted to save that for tonight. So once we get started here, we're going to really just focus in on the music. But the movie came out in 2024, November, and it's going to be a two-part movie, which we know one person who was on our podcast Monday who does not like that it's going to be a two-part movie. But what can you do? Studios want money, and they will get that money. So it's a two-part movie, and the music was still written by Stephen Schwartz. Winnie Holzman did write all the new dialogue and everything, so If you want to blame her for bloating her own baby, she can't say, oh my gosh, what did they do to my thing? Like, nope, they let the original writers of the Broadway adapt it, so they can only blame themselves for that 2 hour and 40 minute, overlong movie, because that was
My
all
rage
there.
was misplaced.
Yes. So Cynthia Erivo is Elphaba in this one, and Ariana Grande is Glinda. A lot of people got grumpy when Ariana Grande was cast. A lot of people got grumpy when Cynthia Erivo was cast, because, as Dash and I have talked about on this show many times, people just get grumpy. They get grumpy because that doesn't sound like their early worker. This sounds too much like this or that, because that's the thing we notice as we kind of dig through these albums and their histories, is there's always a group of whiners, even from albums from the 70s and the 80s. There's always that group of naysayers like, I want this to sound more like blank. And then, with Cynthia Erivo, she's too old to be Elphaba, and Ariana Grande, she's too poppy to be Glinda. So there was that original internet backlash, as there always is. Heath Ledger's cast as the Joker. No, he's not Joker. Jack Nicholson's my Joker. And like, no one's ever happy on the internet, and that's what you've learned.
That's a hill I'll die on.
Ignore the internet. Yeah. So
that's a hill I'll die on.
The Jack Nicholson Joker.
Yeah, that's the hill I'll die on.
All right.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm a Jack Nicholson Joker. I like Jack Nicholson.
As long as you don't say Jared
too.
Leto.
No, if anyone.
Oh my God.
There's a hill I'll die on. Jared Leto is not anyone's Joker.
Yeah, I don't think.
The moment they made him a fucking juggalo, that was that. It's like, no, juggalo Joker is not my Joker. So
it's not that I don't think he could have done it, but they did not. Like, nothing about that performance was good. Jared Leto's a good actor, but like, nothing about that was good.
Yeah, nothing.
It's just a
He
shame.
is it's not a good Joker. So there we go. There is the link to the YouTube. It is in the chat. That will get you Monday Night Show. So if you want to hear Monday Night Show and hear us discuss purely the movie, that's your place to go. And also you can hear the beginnings of what will be a great train heist. So yeah, we did get off topic, as I do. It happens.
Gosh.
I only blame myself, because why not? I mean, I've already taken the beating.
Credit. That was all.
I'm not going to take credit. All right, it's not. I will not take credit. I just don't. I'll just take the blame. If someone got angry by the tangent, blame me. If you enjoyed
all right,
the
FBI,
tangent,
if you're listening,
group effort.
I mean, the blame.
If you enjoyed the tangent, then blame Brian. It's like, all right, credit Brian, not blame me. I'm ready to take the blame. Like I'll wear a target on my chest. Let's go. Bring it on. I don't think anyone's going to come after me tonight, but maybe you hated it, and if I say nice things, you want to come after me for that. And in the end, do what you like.
Did say something about Amanda masterminding the thing, so I feel like she's probably the biggest target. But yeah, she's not here today, so
Ed said he's willing to be our fall guy.
Amanda's the one to arrest if it succeeds.
No, you
They're
said
going to be knocking
on
Amanda's door. All right. So let's see. Where was I? The movie. So yes, it was adapted, and it was, when it was released, received very strong critical reception. I think it's 88% critics on Rotten Tomato and 95% fans. So what does that say? The fans who love the musical didn't hate the movie. That could easily happen. If you do it wrong, they will come at you, because these people are passionate about the play.
This was one of those movies that knew exactly who its audience was. Knew exactly who the audience and that's why because again, we talked about it on Monday, but they appease the musical folks. Yeah. The actual Broadway play folks. And I thought that's one of the reasons what we talked about why it works so well.
Yeah, and I think they were smart to not change the music, to leave it alone, and maybe adding extensions of the music here and there, but not outright changing it, not writing a bunch of new songs like, okay, well, now it's a movie, we're going to write new songs, and not cutting songs. I think that's the key thing, because I know the musical that I think of, that is, oh my gosh, Mean Girls. my daughter was in a production of Mean Girls in her middle school and hated the movie because it took a bunch of songs out. And it was a movie that was kind of afraid to be a musical. It didn't want to show that it was a musical in the advertisements. If you watch the trailers, you would have no idea it's a musical. This one fully embraced the fact that it was a musical, and it needs to, because that's what people love. They don't want an adaptation of the book. No one's begging for that right now. I mean, granted, they're going to do it because it's going to make them more money. They'll stream it on Max or whatever, but they wanted the proper adaptation of the Broadway, and they got it. And I think those who were passionate lovers of the play, they're not going to complain that it's longer. They're not going to complain that it stops in the middle, because you know that that's the intermission moment. So I had a very hard time getting reviews just of the soundtrack, because generally the reviews were just of the movie and they would mention the soundtrack. But I did find that overall the reviews of purely the soundtrack were also very strong. What I found was that they liked the music, that it was still there, but they made it a little more cinematic, not just what you would play in the pit at the Broadway. And they liked the chemistry between the two leads, and saying that the fact that they performed it live on set brought a little more life to it. So they treated it more like a Broadway. All the songs were actually sung live on set. And of course, we're not hearing the versions that were sung on set, but because they were singing them, it brings a little more energy to just something being lip synced. So Vogue gave it very high reviews and said that, of course, the some of the standout tracks were ones that I'm sure we'll be talking about. So I'm not going to say what they said, because I'm going to leave that to us to start discussing. And that is, before we do anything, we always talk about what's our history with this particular thing. So what, Sarah, is your history with just kind of Wicked overall?
It was several years ago. I'm not gonna say how many. We did the song in school as part of the chorus, part of the choir, and then I saw them sing it on Glee, which of course, you know, and we did not do Defying Gravity on in choir, so I didn't really think anything of looking up the rest of the music. So we did Popular in that one. It was really weird to do as a group song, but it worked.
Yeah. They did that at my daughter's when we went to her choir performance last year. They did Popular as well. I guess it's just kind of like, we have the rights to do it at our middle school performance or at our high school performance. So yeah, we paid for them. We're gonna use them. So yeah, it's funny, because that was when I went to her 8th grade choir performance last year. They sang Popular, so I guess it's probably become just kind of a staple of the choir performances. Like you said, it's a
Defying Gravity is actually a surprisingly difficult song. I imagine that's why they steer clear of that one, because that one has a huge range. And it would be a good choir song, assuming you have at least one person in that choir who can reach those high notes, depending on what key you're in, of course. But yeah, like, I feel like that one is not a safe, like, Popular is a safe one to do. You can teach all your singers to sing that one in a reasonable amount of time. Whereas Defying Gravity, albeit a very, very good, powerful song, is also... Yeah, like, that wouldn't be a little more iffy about getting it to sound good with a whole group of people. Yeah, especially when you're talking about a school who maybe aren't trained music, you know, like, they're not, like, nobody in any kind of school situation is a trained musician or trained singer, so.
No,
you know,
not every choir is going to have someone with the chops to pull that one off. I mean, some years I'm sure they do. And I know that year they had someone who had been vocally trained her whole life, and she could have probably handled it, but you know, they were just giving her all the solos, and that one, maybe you don't know, because the next year you could get no one that's on that level, and it could be an absolute disaster to watch, because 8th grade choir performances can be rough to watch anyway. So it's like, if you try to go, like, we're not going to sing Popular, we're going to try to sing, you know, the hardest song that you could possibly sing. and it's gonna just torture poor parents. And
Yeah.
already a long, torturous night. We don't need more torture with Defying Gravity sung by inept eighth graders. And I'm not calling my child inept or any other children
Well,
inept,
it's
but I've
even
lived it.
the best behaved kids inquire. I mean, like when it's hurting cats when you've got little kids there and you're trying to teach them to sing a song and make it sound good. You need to pick safe songs. Defying Gravity is a beautiful, amazing song. It is not a safe song to teach a bunch of 8th graders.
No, not at all.
I mean, even Popular is kind of an iffy one, but it's a little easier. Like it sticks to the, the counting, is weird and Defying Gravity, and Popular is just it's easy. Popular is much easier.
Yeah.
Well, that's why they had to bring in Dia Mazel to Glee just to do Defying Gravity for that episode. They had to bring her in because I don't think any of those. And those guys are all. Yeah, those guys were all trained for the most part to sing.
Yeah, they're proper.
They were musicians. Yeah, it's not an easy song. Like it is. It's a beautiful song done well. It is. It sounds amazing, and but yeah, like it is not an easy song to learn.
I think you wait for that one till you have a college choir, because by then you can imagine that they probably have been singing since elementary school and have some musical chops. But 8th grade, that would have been rough. So I'm happy that they did Popular, because that was
Popular is easy and it's fun.
Yeah, and they had fun, and it's kind of the parents are like, "Oh, cool, that one, that's a fun song." So
and people still recognize it if they're familiar with the musical too, so they're still excited to hear it. Yeah. That was my first experience with it, I think, and then I heard Defying Gravity on Glee, and that's when I finally decided to start looking into it, and ended up hearing about the musical. Didn't know it was a book at the time, and then now I've got the book from the library and I'm halfway through it. So and it's they're basically two different stories. I mean they're okay, like they're loosely all following the timeline, but it's totally different in so many ways.
Yeah, they have that connective tissue of Elphaba, of Glinda, but I think beyond that, it's just going to be
the basic plot points. I think they're hitting the basic plot points, at least so far. Mm-hmm. But everything else is very, very different, and it's not a book for children. And
I've heard
definitely.
As I can, the one thing I can say that I wish I had been able to do was see the original Broadway with Adina and Kristen Chenoweth. Like I feel like because I've seen them perform together before, and it was amazing, and I have no doubt that I would have been probably moved to tears being up close to that.
Sure. Yeah, that would be powerful to see.
Yeah.
Just seeing recorded performances, you're like, damn, those two were just, and they did it long enough that they were gelling, and they had just this perfect chemistry. So it's something, I wish I could have seen that too. I saw it, I think it was 2006 on Broadway, but that wasn't the version with them. They had already left it by then. So Dash, what's your history with this play or movie?
I've seen the on Broadway in 2011. I was up in New York for a little bit I was in New Jersey for some training, and we got to go up to New York for a little bit and spend some time. So I got to actually go see the on Broadway play there. I've read the books. I've read the first 3. I think there's 5. I think there's 5 total, if I remember right. But there's the story continues on. It's not just it keeps going on after Wicked. And then again, kind of like Sarah said, I fan of Glee, so I watched Glee and saw all the Kristen Chenoweth episode and the and Dia Mazel episode, and then now I saw the movie. I kind of I didn't see it in theaters. I mean, as you can see, it did well. It didn't need maybe my extra $25 would have helped a little bit, but it performed well in the theaters. I waited until it got to home. I got some little ones that sometimes I can't take to the movie theaters. So, but yeah, that's my history. I love, I'm a huge musical fan. I've gone to musicals since I was 5 years old, and gone to plays and musicals around Oklahoma. In the military, when I was in the military, we'd go see shows all the time. So, but yeah, this that's my history. I definitely enjoy the movie and the play. I enjoy the play first, the movie is second, and then the book is definitely comes in third. But I just thought the Broadway play was fantastic, and I like the colors, and like just like Brian said the other night when we were talking about, one of the first things that popped up was the colorful, and that's what I liked about it, and the play is just as good with the colors. So, but yeah, that's my history.
Yeah. So Brian, what's your history with Wicked?
Apparently a lot less than everyone else. Jeez. I'd listened to the soundtrack for years. Really enjoyed the Broadway cast recording, and just put it on loop, but I'd never seen it performed on stage. So I was very excited when a movie was becoming available. And I'm surprised nobody's mentioned yet that like 14 years ago, Ariana Grande did a song called Popular with Mika that doesn't parody, but it pays homage to Wicked.
Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't think if she parodied it, then people would really be calling for her head when she got cast. Like, wait, they made fun of it. She can go to hell. She's not our Elphaba, or not our Glinda. So yeah, I didn't know about that. So that's interesting. Yeah, my research, because I had to research a little bit about all the pieces that came into it. So it's very kind of like broad but shallow. So I didn't know about that song. That's interesting. So yeah, for
decade and
me,
a half old. So
yeah, I grew up. I love The Wizard of Oz. I remember every year it would come on television once a year, because that was before we had VHS or anything like that. I was poor. We didn't have a VHS player in my house. That was for the rich folk. And where I lived in the desert, there were no rich folk. So once a year, it would be on, and it would be like I would be glued to the TV. I bought the book from the Scholastic Book Club. I loved it. I loved the Baum universe. And I went to see Wicked before. I had never read the book. I knew the book existed, but I went to see Wicked. When we went to New York, I said, we have to go see Wicked because I love The Wizard of Oz. And that's kind of where my knowledge of it ends, where I saw the play. I remember seeing it. It didn't compel me to run out and get the book, but I love it. I would go see it now again if it were playing anywhere on Broadway or in LA. I just missed it. This last time was friggin' impossible to get a ticket to. So I tried, but I wasn't going to drop hundreds of dollars when I know it'll be back next year or the year after that. It's pretty constant. It comes out to LA. So if you miss it once, you don't have to panic because it'll make its way back out. So yeah, that's kind of my history with it.
Must be nice living by a big city like that. Where plays just show up.
Yeah, things happen. Things come here. It's not bad. All right. So now we're going to dig into our overall thoughts on the soundtrack. We've talked about, again, I will steer you toward the episode that we recorded of Critical Affection. We talked all about the movie. We talked about what we enjoyed, what we thought they could have done better. So now this is our overall thoughts about the music. So Brian, what are your overall thoughts about the music of the story?
Well, I'll have to compare it to the Broadway cast recording, and it was not as punchy, which I've been learning is a common feeling toward it. And yeah, I was kind of disappointed in it. And so I'd watched the movie this previous weekend, and then just yesterday, listened to the soundtrack on a car ride, and I heard the whole soundtrack through my car stereo instead of my television stock speakers. And it was significantly better, not as good as the Broadway cast, but it was better than I gave it credit for at first. And what was the library song?
That
dancing through life. Dancing through life. Dancing through life.
Dancing through life.
That suddenly jumped to my second favorite song.
Okay.
Before it was like, it's a song that's on there, and then I heard it on with some actual bass response. I was like, oh, this kind of slaps.
Yeah, I guess a good stereo system makes all the difference. That's why I try, for any album that we review on this show, my goal is always to play it in my living room on vinyl, where it's going to be like the best thing, and loud at that. I like to kind of just crank it, play the vinyl, and enjoy it nice and loud. And yeah, it does. It has some some deep bass response when you play it in the right system. Because my next one is when I give it the run test, and that is through headphones through traffic and wind noise, and that's not the optimal way to listen to it. So I always play the first listen in a place where I can hear it in its best possible quality. So even if I've been told like put the headphones on, like I was with last week's pick, I put the headphones on, but I have Bose headphones, so they're also good quality headphones, so I can really hear the nuances of the music. And a few of the albums that we've talked about on the show are really, they're headphone albums. I think this one can be played either way. It's not necessarily a headphone album. You're not going to pick up tiny bits of things in that you're not going to get just listening to it. But a good stereo system, I think, is important. Just what plays from your TV isn't going to give it its full worth. Where you played all the Broadway through probably better stereo systems, and that's what you became accustomed to.
But the punchiness still wasn't there in the other songs.
Yeah, the punchiness, I think that's how good the singers are from the original. With Kristen and with Idina Menzel, it's going to be, I'm not even going to say hard. I would say impossible for it to ever be as good as what they did. Better, I don't even think that can happen. Now, someone can prove me wrong. You could get 2 new actors, because they're going to remake this shit. They remake everything. Like 10 years from now, like Wicked again. Because remember you liked it the first time, and damn it, we have no good IP right now, and we're not going to spend any money to buy good IP. So let's just do Wicked, rehash, or this will be the even longer version with more stuff from the book and extra songs. So yeah.
And will they ever finally be get that Marvel crossover?
Yeah, there you go. Put her in the X-Men. Yeah. She is an X-Men. I mean, when it all comes down to it, Elphaba is a mutant. Elphaba has mutant powers, and she needs to go to Xavier School for the Gifted and bring Song to Xavier School for the Gifted. I'm here for that movie. I will go see the Marvel.
Anyway, just to be in an accepting community.
Yeah. She'd be just fine. There's other green people. She's not even going to look out of place. The color of her skin, they'd be like,
she'll look pretty normal there, actually. She'd look almost boring.
He's covered in fur. But he's not an animal.
I was gonna say, she would be like Sarah said, she would be the boring one, I think. And
that's it. Your skin's green. That's it.
It's like, oh, you're green. When?
That's all you got.
Shut up.
Or like, I murder everybody I touch. I don't mean to, but it happens.
If I kiss you, you'll die.
Yeah, like, I mean, Rogue looks normal, but she's like that. That's not Elphaba would be grateful for what she has compared to some of those, probably.
They'd be talking shit like, oh, here comes the sad green girl. Poor thing.
All she can do is fly.
She can make things move with her mind. Woo.
Like, I heard she learned illusion spells last week, and now she's not even green.
Yeah.
I don't know, Brian. You said you wanted to see Doctor Strange the other night, and I'm here for Doctor Strange versus Elphaba. So I would definitely watch that crossover too.
That's the crossover.
Wanda versus Elphaba. Well, no, Wanda would destroy her. Never mind. Wanda's a little unstable right now.
That up in one commercial break.
Yeah.
That would have to be a Marvel short. Like let's you know what? The Marvel keeps running the what if. Let's see the what if version of this. Elphaba versus the Marvel universe. I just want to see individually her fight people. I mean, I just remember Celebrity Deathmatch when I was a kid, watching that when I was in high school with the little claymation dudes fighting each other. Well, Marvel, you have money. I want to see Elphaba versus the Marvel universe. And some of the fights, she's going to get her ass trashed. But some might be a fair fight. So, yes, I am here for that. Marvel, if you're listening, of course Marvel's listening to this.
Obviously, they're definitely watching.
Marvel's like taking notes.
They're always listening.
But Marvel does like stealing shit from people. So, or not Marvel, but Disney. So, Disney's like,
keep your hands off that damn train. That's our train.
That's ours. You can go to hell.
Yeah.
The heist has begun. After the wedding, the heist will start.
Brian's trying to take that which we have rightfully stolen.
All right, so we've gone on a tangent as we do. So Dash, what are your overall thoughts with this soundtrack?
Oh, I won't let y'all be the bad guys alone. Listen, while I love this album, it's just like Brian said, it doesn't compare to the actual Broadway play. It just, I mean, Kristen and India are on a level of their own, and nothing against Ariana Grande or Cynthia Erivo. They've obviously done great stuff, but yeah, it's lacking, like you said, the punch. It's lacking the get up and go for me on this one. But that doesn't make it a bad album. I want to reiterate that, because I don't want to see a 6-paragraph rebuttal while I'm wrong.
Your turn this week. You're going down, not me.
But I love the album. Yeah. I love the album. It just and unfortunately for as we talk about on every episode, I like my albums to lead off with a good song, and for some reason I feel like I don't like No One Mourns the Wicked starting this off. I understand it has to start it off because that's how the play runs. But if you were just to listen to this album, for some reason, I would have started with the Wizard or Dear Old Chiz, or what is this feeling? That's what I would have started off with to really get you going in this album. But overall, it's a good album to listen to. It's, you can switch off and on. If I have the Broadway one and I have this one now as well, and so you can switch off and on. But yeah, that's my overall. It's still a good album. It's still worth listening to if you and there's going to be the movie purist, and there's going to be the Broadway play purist, which I am. So, y'all can have your pick of which one. Still a good album, but again, I think it doesn't compare or match up to the Broadway overall.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be kids like my daughter, who's in high school, and she saw the Wicked movie twice in the theaters. She's going to be the one who loves the movie one more, because she doesn't know the Broadway one. But it's one of those things, if you played the Broadway, if I played her the Broadway one, would it resonate with her the same way? Or would she be like, no, I love, Cynthia's performance of that. That's the one that's my favorite. So, yeah, I'm curious. I think it would be more like the high school, maybe early college age ones right now that would resonate more with the movie. Anyone our age is definitely going to go toward the Broadway. So, yeah, the Wicked can wait. Yeah, I mean, I understand, and some people agree with that. Yeah. I loved that movie. It was one of those literal must-see TV for me when I was like from 4 to 8 or 9. Then we finally got a VHS and bought it so I could watch it whenever I felt like it. Not make sure you're ready, because it's coming on Friday night, 8:00, and like no plans will be made. I will be watching Wizard of Oz on TV. So.
Bathroom breaks only.
I look at it.
Yeah, commercial breaks equal bathroom breaks. No other interruptions.
Woody, I look at it this way. It's like kind of like what we said. It's a what if. It's an alternate universe. I don't think they're trying to,
as far as it goes, but I enjoy it.
Yeah, they're not replacing. I don't think they're replacing the Wizard of Oz with this movie.
No, that's
way,
impossible.
Shape, or form. It's just
nothing will ever be as big as that. Even though Wicked is, it's never going to be Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not trying to change your mind to say go watch it. I'm just saying that's the way I went into. That's the way I went into it. Looking at when I read the book, when I watched the play, I went into it with a mind of this is not the Wizard of Oz. This is Wicked. This is, while it carries the same things, it's an alternate universe type thing for me, and you can still enjoy both. But I'm not telling you to go out and watch it. But I do understand, Woody, where you're coming from.
It's your call.
On your sentiments there.
Yeah, and you're definitely entitled to feel that way, and you might watch it. And I would say probably don't start with the movie, because it's not going to grab you. Go to the Broadway if you could, and you'd have a better chance of enjoying it. So yeah, I mean, I agree. And you know what? Normally I'm the grump. Like I'm normally the one yelling at things. So you are more than entitled to, because the last 2 weeks I did my fair share of griping. So I'm gonna be nice now. So Sarah, what are your overall thoughts with the music from the movie?
overall thoughts with the music, I liked it. Like Dash said, that the opening song, the No One More, I did not like that one. I understood its place, and I got that, but it leaves a bad taste in your mouth right away. And I get that that's the point, but also I just did not like that song. It just made me feel yucky. Yeah. But other than that, I enjoyed it. Now the only song that I really was familiar with from the Broadway play was Defying Gravity, because we heard it, like it's been getting, piped into our ears since Glee, probably. Yeah, so I had heard that one originally, but I haven't really gotten familiar with the other songs. So that one, I would agree that it wasn't as punchy as Adina's version. I know that Kristen sings in it, but that's Adina's song.
Yeah, I mean, she owns that song.
Yeah, and so but other than that, I enjoyed all the music. I don't think that I have a song that I really hated. But it's overall it's quite good, and like you said, it's all for the most part upbeat, and you can do stuff to it. You could clean your house or work on art or whatever with it's stuff, as long as you don't have to think too hard about what you're doing, because those lyrics will get you.
Yeah, but it did survive the run test, and I every album we play gets the run test, and it survived it. And I really thought it was going to get like Kate Bush, like all right, not one song, or Godspeed You Black Emperor. We did that one. That's an album I absolutely love. If I had heard it last year, it would have been on my top 5 albums of the year. It is not for running.
You're gonna have to make a scale for this, and like how many Kate Bushes do you give this? Like 1 to 5. Each album is like, do you give it 1 to 5 Kate Bushes?
Oh my god, the scale has been created. Be prepared for an 8-paragraph rebuttal to what you just said, Sarah. Remember, Sarah said this.
Yeah, you will.
Like the Finish Line Comics does not endorse the opinions of Sarah. So
actually, I'm Kate Bush ambivalent. Honestly, I like Kate Bush fine.
I thought
she's not my favorite musician, but I mean.
And honestly, she probably has better albums, because I know, like, Running Up That Hill, it's one of those things where her voice doesn't sound quite as high pitched, where maybe she found her voice, because what we played was her first album, recorded between her 16th and 19th birthday. So there's a lot of growth that can occur. And if I hear a later Kate Bush song, I'm like, okay, her voice is not so nails on a chalkboard. So, wow, that's weird. So he said, mentioning the Broadway street. So yeah, we see your comment. It says Broadway. I don't know if it's showing it on the live stream, but that's weird. So yeah, but yeah, for me, I'm kind of with everybody else. The Broadway version is going to be better. However, what you would see on Broadway now, you're probably going to get a stronger version through the movie, because the Broadway version we're on now, probably the 10th, different casting that they've done. And I've seen the movie, I've seen the Broadway, and I think the soundtrack bridges the gap between the two, where they didn't change it in any ways that were jarring and ruin it. And it's not going to be as good as the original cast recording, but it's a strong second place. I think it's going to be better than, like, if I went to LA and saw it, this version's going to be better than what you see there. But yeah, it's good, and it survived the run test, so I give it that. It's poppy, it's jaunty, so yeah, it was something that I enjoyed it. I was surprised. I surprisingly enjoyed it more than I thought I would, because taking it out of the context of the movie, because we talked about that on your show, Sarah. I watched it without the movie, or I listened to it without the movie first. And how does it function without the movie? Some of the talky parts are a bit weird when you're listening to them in your living room just on an album, where it's kind of like, I know you need them. I know they're important for moving the plot forward, but they're just not great to listen to sitting on your couch. Watching them, they're fine. But listening by itself, it's kind of strange. So
Yeah.
George Bush.
That's funny. So so now let's move
got a lot of
to
daughters.
our next category, and that is, what do you think is the best song? You can pick one or two. What's your best song? So I've let different people start. So Dash, you can start us off for this one.
Oh man, on this album, the best song, Dancing Through Life, just like we talked about. That is it's the upbeat, it's so good. And I think Jonathan Bailey and them did a great job singing. They nailed it. And then my second favorite one, Sentimental Man. Jeff Goldblum is just, a treasure. So you can't get away from him at all. And so, again, Popular, Defying Gravity, those are automatically going to be the favorite songs for a lot of people. But thinking outside and listening to this album, again, I just think those two, Dancing Through Life and The Sentimental Man, just really, I really like that album. I just really like those songs. And Jeff Goldblum can sing anytime he wants, and I'll be fine with that. So,
oh man,
those are my two favorites.
I'm gonna hold my thoughts on that till we get to the next category, or two categories from now. But that's okay, because
I got one for that category. Trust me.
If I'm not saying something to get me yelled at, then I'm doing it wrong. And Sarah took the bullet last time with how many Kate Bushes does this album get? So,
we have to decide too. Like, is one Kate Bush the worst or the best? And is 5 Kate Bushes the worst or the best?
I think less Kate
One
Bush
Kate
is
Bush will
better.
be the best.
There you go.
One Kate Bush is better.
5 Kate Bushes is like, I'm screaming and I'm suffering. So
5 Kate Bushes is like 2 cats fighting. Yeah.
It's like, please
we're gonna get
help.
in trouble again.
That's okay. I already got it once, and
I
again,
didn't put my last name on here, did I?
appreciate that, and I appreciate the passion you bring to who you love, and you. If that, like the one who yelled at you for Taylor Swift, they're not listening to this again. They're like, fuck those 2 old guys. We don't want to hear from them. So yeah, we're those shitty old guys. They don't want to hear from us. But Brian, you're not a shitty old guy. So what was your favorite song on this?
Defying Gravity. It's the only one I thought really lived up to the Broadway one. I heard this on my television for the first time, and I was like, hell yeah. This rocks. I love this. And it was visually what was going on just made me really happy. And so I already mentioned that my second favorite was Dancing Through Life, but Defying Gravity, and it was kind of the only other one that appealed to me.
Yeah.
Everything else was.
You can see that.
Meh.
All right. So Sarah, what's your favorite song from this?
I gotta go with Defying Gravity too. It's as somebody who enjoys singing, that one is definitely the funnest one to sing. Again, also the hardest one to sing, but that one I cannot see me just bopping around the house singing to myself any of those other songs. Like Popular's okay. Like you can dance around to Popular. But Popular got ruined for me by singing it in choir. So
now
you have
to sing it a million times. Oh, that's like we talked about on our Christmas show on my Saturday one. So many songs get ruined for me because we have to perform them in the elementary school Christmas pageant, and you have to play them so many times that now it's like, please never let me hear that song again.
Exactly.
I have learned to hate it. I will never like it again because I've listened to it about 100 times as sung by bad 5th graders. And 5th graders did their best. They belted that out as best they could, but they're still 5th graders singing the Beach Boys or whatever it is. So every song that I wanted to remove from the Christmas song list was because I had to hear it so many damn times as a teacher. You just playing it and playing it and playing it. So I try to choose songs I already don't like so they won't get ruined for me.
Yeah.
So I can see how that would happen because that's happened to every Christmas song I've ever performed in my 25 years of teaching. It's just like, please never again.
I appreciate the song, but it got overplayed for me, and now I just don't. It's just not my favorite anymore. I don't know if it ever would have been if I had the opportunity to experience it, fresh from the beginning, like I did with the others. But But yeah, like Defying Gravity is just, it's like, you know, as like somebody who likes to sing is going to zero in on that one because that one is the most challenge, the biggest challenge, so it is going to be the most fun to sing.
Yeah, there's
I think they should have started
girls on YouTube right now singing Popular.
Yeah,
you put it in like, all
I
right,
think
that song's the most overplayed, I'd say, of all of them.
mm-hmm.
I think they should have started the album off with Defying Gravity. Get everybody into the album, and then go back and do the. Well, I mean, you could
play it
this
twice.
is, you know, yeah, you can play it twice. I mean, you can have
Well, don't they have a reprise in the play? They sing it more than once.
Yeah, they have a reprise. Yeah, they have a reprise
in the second act, I believe. So. I don't remember. I gotta re-listen to the second act songs to kind of refamiliarize myself because it's been a while.
Well, the new movie's coming out in November, I think.
November, yeah. And then we'll
be back.
Round 2, yeah. So we'll be back for round 2. So
we'll have all the second act.
I'm with you guys. It's Defying Gravity. It's a Broadway juggernaut for a reason. It's not that amazing and that beloved because it sucks. I mean, it closes the movie out strong. It really feels to me like through so much of the movie that Cynthia Erivo's kind of holding back. It's like she's not giving us her full strength. And then when she sings this song, now we see her at full power. Her mutation has finally given its full power. And it's, you know, it's just such a powerful moment. It's a powerful song, whether you're listening to it on the vinyl or you're listening to it in the context of the movie. It's just, you know, it's the showstopper. And that's what it is. Like, you go see the Broadway, she's now elevated, she's now on the wires, and it's that bring down the house moment where everyone's like, holy shit, we just got our socks knocked off. So that's what it does in the movie.
Definitely
that's what it does in the play. And yeah, it's not that well loved because it's not good. I mean, it's one of those things. Yeah, it's worth every piece of acclaim that it's got. And this is where Cynthia finally gives us her full strength. Where before, it feels like she's playing at 75%, and now she's gonna sprint to the finish line. So this one, that's mine. And I know it's cliche to say it, but then again, I'm not a big Broadway guy, so I'm not the one that you want to listen to for what we should be talking about on Broadway. But just as a song listener, that's the one. That's the one that brings the house down, whatever house it's in, whether it be the movie house or your living room house. That's the one. All right, so now let's talk about lyrics. What lyrics stood out to you in this one? So, Sarah, what were some lyrics that stood out?
Well, from Monday's show that the library scene was probably my least favorite scene. However, Dancing Through Life, the very first lyrics is, the trouble with schools is they always teach the wrong lesson. And like, hello, how true is that? So I gotta go with that one line, best lyrics. That whole song, great lyrics. Yeah. And they all it's hard to choose a favorite song based on the lyrics because they really they did a good, like, for me, a musical, the songs should help move the story forward.
Yeah.
Otherwise it's just a song and you're just wasting our time. Mm-hmm. And I did feel that the No One Mourns the Wicked kind of was just wasting our time. Maybe that's why it's my least favorite song, but like, it's there and it's important, but it's also doesn't really, it's exposition. It's not really it's not really moving the story along. It's just setting us up for the story. Whereas where the rest of the songs in there, they all help move the story along. They all tell their own story, and they're all just packed to the brim with meaning.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I appreciate all the songs in there, but yeah, like, my favorite one is, you know, it's weird because my favorite song is in my least favorite scene.
Least favorite scene, yeah.
Yes.
Well, you
really just because that freaking library was so nonsensical and a bad treatment of books. You don't dance on books, okay? Don't dance on books. A real librarian would have been so angry with you if they would have. You just go dance on the book at the local library. They will kick your ass.
Dancing Through Life would have been performed in the grass outside of the library with a real library.
Yes.
Like you'll be singing the song outside. Get the hell out of my library. Don't stand on my books in the hamster wheel. Get
and also
guys out of here.
That you're supposed to be quiet in the library. There's designated loud areas in the library, and you weren't in one.
Yes.
That was clearly a study area.
They need the library ghosts from Ghostbusters to give those guys the
yes.
they deserve. Like bring
exactly.
Her in, she'll go full angry ghost, and then they'll go sing outside.
Exactly.
Dancing Through Life in somewhere else. It's not the library. Parkour guys go climb up walls. You can still do your shit. No, parkour guys will always have a function.
Yeah, that entire school campus is just perfect for parkour guys, is it not? It's so weird.
Every time I watch the movie now, it's there's the parkour guys.
Parkour
That's all I'm gonna say. It's not. It's parkour guys time.
I think you're missing the obvious. Like that scene that should have been directed by OK Go. Like they had
yeah.
Oh my god, yes.
And stuff like
agreed.
Oh my gosh, that could have.
That would be pretty good. That would have been pretty good. Yeah.
A new epic level. OK Go with parkour guys. That's the video. That's the version of that I want to see. So yes, there you go, Brian. You're on to something for Wicked Part 2 when they bring the parkour guys in, which you know they will. They'll find something for the parkour guys. I mean, you paid for them.
They're going to run up down the train.
So I want to see the parkour guys as directed by OK Go, and that's the scene. I don't know for what song, but it needs to happen. So yes, Brian, you have created what will be an amazing moment in Wicked Part 2.
If they listen to my advice.
If they listen. So if
Disney,
you're listening,
even
though it's shot. And I wonder if we'll see the skating people in Part 2 actually use. Because the fact that they filmed a whole big skating sequence, which never got used except for in the deleted scenes, I'm like, that cost them some money, I'm sure, to bring in skaters and, not actually show them in the final cut. Although there's enough deleted scenes, that movie would have been over 3 hours. Now, just wait. They're going to release the director's cut and sell it on streaming and DVDs. Like, here's the director's cut with everything. Kind of your Peter Jackson version of Wicked. So, just give it time. All the things to make the money.
As long as it's not the Snyder cut.
Yeah, it's not the Snyder cut. The Snyder cut of Wicked, we don't need that. We didn't need it of the Justice League. We didn't need the anything cut of Justice League, but that's a story for another show. So when Sarah, when we get on Critical Affection and we talk shit about Snyder and then we get attacked.
Let me know when you do Justice League. I have some words.
Yes, we're here for that. If you're ready, we're ready.
All right.
I don't know if I'll ever be ready for Justice League.
Tell us your best lyrics, Dash. We'll get off this tangent because the Snyder fans are going to come after us now too. Because slow-mo is the only way to film movies. That's what they're going to tell us. No action scenes should ever be seen fast.
I'm through accepting limits because someone says they're so. Some things I cannot change, but till I try, I'll never know. Too long I've been afraid of losing love. I guess I've lost. Well, if that's love, it comes at much too high a cost. That is the best line of Defying Gravity. I mean, that is literally what literally the entire song. I like I said, I know my favorite songs are like we talked about, but Defying Gravity, as you all have said, is a fantastic song, and the lyrics make it so. And the entire lyric, I mean, I could sit there and read this entire song and say this is the best lyric ever written. It tells a story. It tells us, as songs do, they tell a story, and this is the one that tells the movie or the play or whatever we're watching.
It sums up the whole first act.
Yeah,
like, this is now where her character is. She's ready to enroll in Xavier's school. She's got her powers, and it's that. Let me scream it to everyone that this is where I'm at now. I'm no longer the timid one. I'm no longer embarrassed. I am here, and get used to me. I'm green and shut up.
That power. It as through the song goes, and even Glinda's talking to her, and it's just continuously builds, and she's like, I'm doing this, and you can't stop me. And I mean, that's powerful. That's there's always been somebody that says, well, you shouldn't write this book, or you shouldn't do this show, or you shouldn't try and go and do things on your own because you can't do it. No, I love this. And that's, like I said, that this is what the movie and the show is all about. And it's hard not to have that as the best lyrics. And so, I agree. There's so many good lyrics. I mean, just like we talked about with Bush, Kate Bush, she's a wonderful songwriter. Like every song, the lyrics were really good. It's how they're translated through songs sometimes, but there's not a bad lyric in this. And that comes from the Broadway play, and even this, they nailed it, and I think they did a good job. So that's mine.
Yeah, so Brian, what's your pick for best lyrics?
I think I'd have to go with The Wizard and I, because of all the foreshadowing of what happens in The Wizard of Oz. They wove some clever stuff in there. Mm-hmm. And I really appreciated that. Typically I don't listen to lyrics that much. And that's one that made me go, oh, I get it. Oh, that's a
so
normal
much foreshadowing for the future of the play. Yeah, that's and the best Broadway songs, you could take them, rip them out of the Broadway, and throw them on the radio, and people would still listen to them. I mean, granted, the context of the story wouldn't be there, but that's when you listen to it, you're like, it could just be a good ballad on the radio. Totally. And there's a few that were like that, and I love that. Yeah, those foreshadowing lyrics. That's when Broadway's at its best. When the lyrics, you need to pay attention to them, because they're telling you what's coming up. So
give some rewatch value or some re-listen value.
Yeah. And I had my lyrics that I wrote down were also from Defying Gravity, because I mean, how can you not? It's a powerful song on all the aspects. So where she said, something has changed within me, something is not the same. I'm through with playing by the rules of someone else's game. Too late for second guessing, too late to go back to sleep. It's time to trust my instincts, close my eyes and leap. And it's just like, oh man, I remember very little from the Broadway when I saw it, but I remember that song. I remember those lyrics, and it's just like so powerful. And that's what you're going for. When you do a Broadway, you need to move with so many different aspects, the acting, the singing, and just how it's building to the moment that, going to leave them now, like, oh, now it's intermission. You're like, no, I want the rest. I want more right now. Now we got to wait a year for the movie, especially for those who don't know the Broadway. You have to wait a year, and you're like, you bastard. That to be continued. Even though my wife has seen the Broadway with me, as soon as it popped the to be continued on the screen, she's like, damn you. Like, I said, I told you it was part one, but she's like, but here? I'm like, yeah, that's where it ends in the play too. But still, it leaves you wanting more, but that means
very unsatisfying for it to end there, because it's like, this resolves nothing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ah! But yeah,
Agreed.
And even the knowledge that there's another movie is like, I was still kind of like, shit.
Yeah, it's grumpy. I know. She was that way. I remember at the theater, people were like, oh, because you think, all right, how much are we going to get? Do we get Act 2? I mean, you hope not, because fuck, I don't have 5 hours to sit in a movie theater. But even so, you're like, at that point, you're like, you know what? Never mind. I do have 5 hours. Keep this going. I don't want to stop right here. So yeah, I agree. That one had the most powerful lyrics, but overall, lyrically, it's a strong play. And that's, that you don't run for as many years as this one has run without good lyrics, without just a good story. So I even liked in No One Mourns the Wicked, where they say, and goodness knows the wicked lives are lonely. Goodness knows the wicked die alone. So it's kind of foreshadowing, like, she's going to have a lonely life. Even if she's standing up for what she believes in, it's not going to lead to a happy path. And one thing I did like in that song, even though I think I agree with everyone, it's kind of a mediocre opener. I like that it kind of gave that little homage with the playing the back part of Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead. You just hear that in a little musical beginning. I'm like, ooh, that's cool. I like the little homage to that, but I agree. It's
you get a little bit of
opener.
You get a little bit of Somewhere Over the Rainbow too, right?
Yeah, they throw those both in there to give you that little nod to the Wizard of Oz, which is what I grew up loving, and that, giving those little nods to it is like, all right, cool. That's, going back to my childhood, because that I just, I'll always remember that just being that must-see TV, seeing the little special spin that I added to the beginning of our opening today, because it's a special crossover episode. And I just remember when you saw that, I'm like, hell yes, something good is coming on television right now, because I see the special spinning, and it's about time for something for the kids. So I would always get pumped up. And then if it was something else, then I'd get all pissed, like, oh, it's for an adult miniseries? This is crap. How dare they? This is supposed to be for like the Charlie Brown Christmas special. This is bullshit, and I protest. But, that's just grumpy 10-year-old me. Some things never change. So instead of skip this one, because if we skip any songs, it's going to make the play make less sense. But we're going to change it to dialogue, where we can give a little dialogue exposition, remove the song, and it would be just fine. So, Sarah, you have any parts of this one that you want to just remove to dialogue?
No one warns the wicked, right? I mean, like that one. They didn't need. They could have just done a Star Wars text scroll thing. They didn't, because we all, everybody knows the story of the Wizard of Oz. Like, that's still very popular, very much in the zeitgeist. So there's no need to run through that whole song and just talk about how much they hate this woman. Like, we know, we saw the original, we know you hate her.
Yeah, she's messed up. We agree.
Yeah, so there was
start with the part with Elphaba, or with Glinda.
Yeah, when Glinda's like,
saying, "Oh, did you know her?" And then that's where it starts.
Yeah, when she comes down in her freaking bubble and acts all weird, like that was. I thought it was amazing how I thought Ariana nailed that, with how awkward she was with that whole bubble thing, and but we could have skipped that song. That song could have been just well, you know how the story went. You've seen the movie, right? And they didn't, everybody knows, my nieces and nephews are young, and they know the story. They've seen the movies and been traumatized by that movie.
Yeah, no one loves the Wicked Witch to start. When you watch The Wizard of Oz, they're like, damn, she's no hero. She's the worst.
Everybody knows the Wicked Witch of the West is wicked. Like, that's the whole point. And so, that song just doesn't need to be there.
So a little dialogue, a little Star Wars scroll. I guess if you're seeing it on Broadway,
that's the only reason that it makes sense. It certainly doesn't make sense for the movie, but the dialogue it makes a little more sense if it's in on Broadway. If you're watching a play, makes a little more sense.
Star Wars scroll on that one.
Yeah, because you can't just do a, hey, or I mean, you could still have a narrator come out and say everybody knows this story, and give a little quick recap, but it didn't need to be that 5-minute song or however long it was. It didn't need to be that.
It feels over long for sure.
Almost 10 minutes, I think it was.
Is it? It felt like an eternity when I was watching it. I was like immediately like, I don't like this song. Am I gonna be suffering through this whole movie? I don't like this song. And I guess if
Bush songs long.
Yeah, and it's Kate Bush. It's
Don't come at me.
And
if you're
on her side now.
if you are somebody who got bullied in school too, I feel like that song could be borderline triggering for you.
Yeah,
so that was a really depressing song to open up and it was a little traumatizing, and it was way too long, and it just didn't need to be there. Eventually, I'm sure there will come a day when people don't know the Wizard of Oz anymore, like when they have to go seek it out. But that is not today, and so we just don't need that song. And it's the other songs are such a freaking out of the park home run that this one, in comparison, kind of feels like garbage almost. It's not a garbage song, just so we're clear. I'm just saying that all the other songs are so much better. So I guess at least they open with the worst one, so that we are
it doesn't start strong. Like with that, that's something we talk about with albums. Dash and I are very big on your opening track on an album needs to just grab the listener and make it so you want to hear what's next. With a weak opener, I have so much music I listen to, I don't get past a week opener. And that could happen in this. If you're watching the movie and it starts with a week opener, I think what saves it when you're not just listening to it from the vinyl is the visuals of it are so beautiful. And those are what grab you, not the song, not the music, but just that the vivid, bright colors of Oz and the amazing cinematography. That's going to save a kind of mediocre song that's opening it. But if you're playing it on let's say you're playing it on Spotify, I'm hitting that skip button. Like, yeah, I don't need it. I know what happens. I don't need it for the context of the story. I'm just going to take a pass on this one. And I think that's not what they should go for. I mean, in the movie, you're stuck with it. You need it to kind of open and show off your beautiful aerial shots of Oz and seeing Dorothy, seeing all the characters from The Wizard of Oz. It's serving that purpose, and that it's saved by its beautiful cinematography, but out of context, is playing it, listening to it anywhere else where it's just a song, it's an easy skipper. So, Brian, which ones are you going to skip and change to dialogue?
One Short Day, and for the reasons you just mentioned. What happens in the majority of that song does nothing other than, hey, look, it's Emerald City. Hey, look, Emerald City. Over there, that's some Emerald City. And we got some Emerald City. Like, shut up.
Yeah,
like,
we
get it. And they could have spent more time on other stuff. Like, I don't know, there were a couple other talented musicians squished in a little part of that song. Spend more time on them. That would have made that would have
rewrite it for just Indina and Kristen, and then we're set. Like, give them their part so we can get the history of the wizard, because that's not just check it out, Emerald City.
That's important.
That's actually, here's the history of the wizard that we need to know, because we think he could read the book, and we find out later that was all a fraud. That's an important plot point, and that's the funny thing is that's the part of the song that was added into the movie that wasn't in the original Broadway, is their little section. Yeah. And that's probably the only important section of that whole song. The rest of it could have been, you really don't even have to say, look, there's Emerald City. You just kind of walk in like, cool, I see Emerald City, and we know what it is. We've seen it in The Wizard of Oz.
Also, it's green. There are context clues.
It's green. It's green.
We got it. We figured it out. All right, so Sarah, we did it. So Dash, anyone's you're going to change the dialogue?
I'm going to get in trouble for this one. And listen, I love Michelle Yeoh, and she was already like dialoguing it anyways for most of the song, so it might as well just turn that into dialogue. I love the I love the song, and don't get me wrong, it's just that one there for me because. In the play, it's not as when that song's not a dialogue. The singer's actually singing. Michelle Yeoh has a little problem singing, English lyrics. I understand that. I'm glad that they did it for her, but to me, that was just one part that probably could have been dialogue in the movie instead of a song.
Yeah, and I think because I watched, like I was talking about on your show Monday. I watched all the behind the scenes stuff. And when they interviewed her, she was even saying she has no experience in singing. She has no experience with Broadway. And the director should have thought, like, I want her enough to be this character because she's going to have that malevolence and that kind of, pull off that twist where you think she seems so trustworthy, but she's actually very much manipulating her the whole way through. So we want her in that part. But since she said from the start, I have no history in any of this, it's okay to change it to dialogue. No one's going to be upset because she's still so good in that role. We want her in it. But we don't need.
She's beautiful as Morrible.
So, yeah, I'm with you on that one.
God.
Yeah, so for me, the one I'm taking out is taking another one who's not a classical singer, and that is Something Bad.
Don't do it.
No, Something Bad. I'm taking out Peter Dinklage.
Oh, Peter Dinklage, yeah, okay.
The entire animal sequence, honestly, could have been perfectly left as dialogue. She could have walked in and overheard the animals talking. They didn't need to be singing, and we would have still got the point that, okay, things are going bad in Oz, and I just don't think it needed another song there. And granted, it's a Broadway musical, so you go for the song. But in the context of the movie, I don't think it needed to be there. I don't think I needed to hear Peter Dinklage sing. And then I'm coming with the unpopular opinion on this show. I think Jeff Goldblum is amazing. I love him. He's an icon, but he's no singer. And I knew
you were coming for me.
Yeah, I mean, when do I ever hold back? I don't care.
I'm with Ed on this.
Yes,
you guys are killing me.
I didn't. You could definitely
arranged on your side and above you.
When we were listening, when we were watching the movie, I definitely was like, yeah, he's no singer. He's just he's trying to do that jogging thing where it sounds like he's singing, but he's more kind of, what's that called? It's when you sing talk, you know. It's got a name.
I don't know, but that's definitely it.
Now I'm gonna be mad until I think of it.
So yeah, those are the two. Like, I'm with you with Michelle Yeoh. She's not a singer. We could have turned it to dialogue because as a character, she's great. So is Jeff Goldblum as the wizard. He's kind of a twisted, two-faced guy, and I like him, but he can talk. He can do dialogue. It's cool. And I think for the purists, they want to keep it all in there, but I'm okay removing it.
It's okay,
I'm
Jeff.
okay removing Peter Dinklage. But yes, when you were saying that song, I'm like, all right, I'm coming with the unpopular opinion. So now we get to the final part of our show.
Hold on. I'm on the phone with Jeff right now. I'm on the phone with Jeff right now, letting him know that I still love you, Jeff, and I don't care what.
Yeah. That's okay. You know what? You can love him. Some people out there still love Kate Bush and want to tell me I'm a 10-year-old. And they're probably not wrong. Because you know what? You gotta stay young. All that education, and I
had your back.
The mind of a 10-year-old, because why the hell not? That's what I say. So now we come up to our final part of the show where we decide, what are we going to do with this album? Are we going to keep it or return it to the used bin? So, Sarah, what do you think?
I'm gonna keep it. I mean, overall, I'm gonna keep it. Honestly, the only one. Like, I agree that Jeff Goldblum, not a great singer, but I enjoyed his song too. And so the only one that I didn't really and even No One Mourns the Wicked, even that, like, it's a good enough song. It's just depressing and unnecessary, and we all know the story, so we didn't need it. It just seemed unnecessary for there. So that's really the reason. That plus the really depressing, almost traumatizing lyrics. It just didn't feel like it was needed to open the whole movie on a bummer. So, but even that song, standing by itself, is a good song.
Yeah,
it's just, and I think it's most of the songs. There's one singer who is kind of the lead singer of the chorus, but that one's kind of just everybody singing, and that's
an ensemble one. That's one of the few that's just pure ensemble, and I think maybe the Welcome to Shiz is more ensemble, but that's only like a minute long, so it's so short. It's kind of like, I had thought like, oh, maybe skip it when it started, then it ended so fast. I'm like, never mind. If they had done the Emerald City one and it was only a minute long, it would have been fine. Like a minute 11 seconds, I think, is what the Welcome to Shiz is, and that's fine. It doesn't overstay its welcome. If the One Short Day was a minute and 11 seconds long, then it wouldn't have overstayed its welcome. And you'd be like, okay, cool. It's a little ensemble piece. Now we're in the Emerald City. Cool. We know where we're at. And you only wasted a minute of my time. But it goes on way the hell longer than that. And that's what I guess we could do. Maybe not even reduce it to dialogue, but shrink it down to a minute like the Shiz song, because it never gets a point where you're like, no more. I know we're in Shiz. Shut up. No, with Emerald City, like, we get the point. It's Emerald City. For 10 minutes, it's fucking Emerald City. We're good. Leave us alone.
Yes.
So
definitely agree on the too long. And I feel like what you disclosed about the making of stuff on Monday and today, they clearly did that to make the movie longer. So it got obnoxious.
They drug it out, and there was fat to be trimmed in this movie.
Yes.
And that's what you do. You make the Emerald City introduction a minute long, then you give Indina and Kristen their moment to shine. Don't cut their song, but everything leading up to it could have been done in a quick 1 minute. Here's Emerald City. Welcome. Now let's hear about the history of the wizard, because that is truly important for the plot. We need that as the the exposition for the wizard and how he got there and why they would believe he was, Oz the Great and Powerful. So that's an important expositional song for one short day. Make it a minute and it's fine. So yeah. But yeah. So what do you think, Brian? You keeping this one or returning it to the used bin?
I'm gonna keep it, but since we're talking about a physical media here, I'm gonna put a little post-it note of like, these are the good ones.
Yeah, what to skip.
Yeah.
All right. So Dash, after your long conversation with Jeff Goldblum, where he said I'm scum, and he's like, I will be writing. He's composing his 8 paragraphs right now, and I'm here for it.
Now,
I will just like the Kate Bush 8 paragraph slaughtering of me. I will always reply politely, because I'm not here to get in a fight. I respect anyone's passion, and I love that they have passion for things, because so do I. And I will tell many people that what they're listening to is trash, and they will tell me the same, and that's okay. They're just wrong. So Dash, what are you doing? You keeping this one? You're turning it to the used bin?
Oh, I'm keeping.
Did I already ask you
again? No.
Okay.
You didn't ask me, but I'm telling you anyways. No.
All right.
I'm keeping it. As I talk about, I have my vinyls separated in. We'll listen to all the time, some of the time, and every once in a while. This will go into the some of the time, where I have the Broadway soundtrack. I have that. Of course, I don't have that on vinyl. I actually have
higher listens, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
The CD.
Yeah, I guess, but I have that on CD. I'll get it hopefully someday on vinyl. But it's worth a keep, and it's just like the movie. It's like we talked about tonight. I'll keep the movie as well. I'm a big physical media guy, so I loved it, and it's worth a listen to. And when I'm not feeling Kristen and India, I will take over with Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo.
Yeah, and I'm with everyone. I'm keeping this one. I'm not putting it in the used bin, although my daughter will get a lot more use out of it. So I gave it to her to take upstairs, because she has her own record player. So she will play it there. But once in a while, if I'm in the mood and I have that itch, I will borrow it back from her. And I have the Blu-ray. I bought physical media of both, and I'll keep it because it's something I'll watch. I think, honestly, the next time I watch Wicked on Blu-ray will probably be sometime around the release of part 2, to give myself that refresher, because it is long, and it's not like, I love Lord of the Rings, but it's not like I'm popping them on all the time. Like it's a long investment to sit down for a 3-hour or nearly 3-hour movie. But when part 2 is about to come out, I'll definitely watch it again. When part 2 comes out on Blu-ray, we'll buy it, and I'll definitely watch them, kind of. I don't know if I could do all at once, but maybe one night 1 night 2. So yeah, I'm keeping the Blu-ray. I'm keeping the album. Like I said, my daughter, she's the one that she's even asking, like, Dad, are you almost done with the album so I can take it upstairs? So she's excited about it. And I want someone who's that excited about it to take it upstairs and get that immediate enjoyment. Because for me, I own thousands of albums. So any album, it's a slim chance I'm going to reach for one particular one. So this one, knowing that she's going to reach for it more often, it's in her room, but it's not because I don't want it. It's because she's going to get the greatest enjoyment out of it. So we have covered all the topics. So now let's talk about what is coming up next week. So next week, it's Dash and I, and we're going to be looking at Portishead's Dummy. Portishead, trip hop. I love trip hop. I somehow have never played this album. I listened to a lot of Massive Attack. That's my kind of go-to trip hop. Tricky, I love his stuff. So this one, somehow, it's a classic in that genre. I've never played it, so I am excited to drop the needle down on this one, and we're going to talk all about it next week. So if you haven't heard the album, that's your homework. Go home, listen to the album sometime between now and next Wednesday so you can tell us if we're right, if we're wrong. And we require 8 paragraphs. We don't want your little 1-sentence rebuttals. If I'm wrong, you need to tell me, and you need to write it with an introduction, body, and conclusion paragraph at minimum. And yeah, that's now become the new standard of telling me I'm wrong. You can't just tell me I'm wrong. You need to show me with evidence. So we have to play a few of our ad sponsors. So let's take a look at our sponsors, starting with, let's see, we got one more comment. We'll check that out. So we have Dash's link for his book. Definitely check that out. I'm not going to play anything from Immortal Era. I will just tell you, Immortal Era 10 has 2 days left. We are on our final 48 hours. So if you haven't had a chance to back that, I would greatly appreciate any pledges. We've met our goal. We're just trying to stay safely in our goal, and hopefully with a few days left, unlock some new stretch goals. So I will actually throw that in there. We are $93 above our goal, which now once we go, we're 49 hours until we close. Once we hit 48, no one can cancel and unfund it. So we have that one small hour to go where no one can ruin it for us. So yeah, that's always the scary thing with Kickstarter is the cancellations, and they can drop you under your goal, but with it in 48 hours, they won't let someone do that. So 1 hour to go in that, then we're in that safe zone, and just like, all right, now just hope for a few pledges, but not have to worry about someone crushing you at the end. Because, oh my gosh, I've had it happen where you're like, you're funded. Whoops, never mind. Now you're unfunded. Now you're funded again.
Oh, that Kickstarter did that. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, I guess that's a safety net they put in there for the creators is once you reach 48 hours, you've had your time to think about if you want to back this thing or cancel it, and you get that 48 hours where they can't take you down. Like they can cancel if it won't unfund you, but if they pledge, let's say $200, right now I'm only 98 above, they can't take their pledge away. So at least there's that. So I'm 1 hour away from that safety net zone. So yeah,
you got it.
I'm not worried. So that's good. I don't want to say I'm not worried because someone can just be like, ha, not worried. Let me show you, Kate Bush hater. I'm going to take you down. So, yeah.
If the army attacks.
Canceling at the last minute is 5 Kate Bushes. Don't do it. So yeah, we're going to play some of our sponsors now. I interrupted myself, but yes, as everyone in my household knows, I'm like that squirrel dog from Up. We're like, squirrel? Like, I will distract myself. I saw a red dot. I'm like, ooh, comment. So, yeah, I'm a squirrel dog. I admit it. But let's check out some sponsors. All right. And our next sponsor, let's check them out. All right, so check that one out. Launching in May. We have 2 more. I always wait till the end because we talk about the music and everything else, and then we do our commercial break. We save it for the end. We're like a streaming service, so you get stuck with the commercials at the end. We don't put them throughout because I would forget and I get myself distracted. I probably should be better, but I can barely keep it going. I write all my notes and I follow them. And this one, I think I had 12 pages of notes. So I always have lots of notes for whatever show we do, and trying to keep that all sorted and play a sponsor ad, my head would explode and no one wants to watch that. Except that Kate Bush fan. She's like, fuck that guy. Let's watch it.
She was taking notes too.
Hate watch is still a watch. They gave you the video.
I want to see them wiping the brains off the camera at the end to know that guy got what he deserved. That 12-year-old brain all over the camera. All right. So here's our next sponsor. I will stop getting off topic. Or, nah, probably not. But, we're almost done. So I can't do too much more harm. Too much. But we'll see. All right, so one more ad, and then we will say our goodbyes. So this one I actually know. This is from Brett and his Marble Moles. So let's check it out.
Welcome to Based on a True Story, Volume 6, Tales of the Underworld, where true crime collides with the furry, funny, and fierce world of the Dust Bunny Mafia. This brand new 32-page comic reimagines real mafia legends, Mad Dog Cole, John Gotti, and more, through the eyes of our animal mobsters. Think The Godfather meets Looney Tunes, packed with action, humor, and full-color storytelling.
All right, so Sarah, Brian, thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate having you on. And
Thanks
for having us.
We can pencil you in for Wicked Part 2 when it comes out.
Yeah, we got to give it enough time to get released onto home media because I'm not going to the theater for that.
Blu-ray. Yeah.
I don't go to the theater when I know there's going to be people singing in the audience, so I can't. You can't enjoy a movie like that.
You're gonna drop $15 to hear someone else's bad singing.
Our local theater actually had a whole if you wanted to sing along, there was like a whole showing just for you, and I was like, thank you, but it didn't stop the a-holes who came and sang anywhere. It's like, no, you're not supposed to sing in this one. If you wanted to sing, you were supposed to go to the last showing. Yeah. So I don't like it.
Super Soakers,
maybe.
Let's make theater.
Now that you've given me the idea.
Yes. All right. So thank you so much. And we have a in video, and I'm actually going to jump out because I am going on another podcast right now. So I'm jumping over to a whole nother show. So once again, thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us, Sarah and Brian. We'll be back in, probably March of next year when they put that out on something we can afford and not have to hear bad singing anywhere besides if it's your own bad singing. So, and we're not going to say who sings bad because we've already said enough. And 8 paragraphs are required. And we will see you all next week with Portishead.
See ya.
All right. Have a great week.
Have a good night.
All right.
you crave right here live. Heroes and villains clash in the night. Madness Comic Network sets it right. Scroll through the list, find what you need. Epic battles and fast-paced speed. From capes to cosmic space delight. Tune in and watch your favorites ignite. On Facebook, share the thrill so grand. On X, the buzz across the land. Madness Comic Network all around. In every episode, joy is found. Uploads, they never end. Superheroes and their friends catch every twist and every turn. Madness Comic, you will yearn. Stay up to date with every twist. Madness Comic, don't miss a gist. From laughter to tears, every mood. Madness Comic sets the groove. Click that button and subscribe. Catch the wave and ride the tide. Join the fun, join the craze. Madness Comic brightens days. Hey! New uploads, they never end. Superheroes and their friends catch every twist and every turn. Madness Comic, you will yearn. Stay up to date with every twist. Madness Comic, don't miss a gist. From laughter to tears, every mood. Madness Comic sets the groove. Click that button and subscribe. Catch the wave and ride the tide. Join the fun, join the craze. Madness Comic brightens